Ranger, what are you doing? Get it! Welcome back to Permaculture with Pete. So, today's episode, I'm going over my seed planting method and basically how I get my trees, well, I should say tree starting method. Tree seed starting method. I'm tongue-tied already, but that's what I'm going over. Tree seed starting method. I used to go through so much work to get things like mangoes and avocados started, shelling the mango seeds and soaking them in water and taking my avocado seeds and putting toothpicks in them, putting those toothpicks balanced just right over top of water cups, having to change that water all the time. And you know what? I'm getting sick of it, and it doesn't work that good. I think we need to go back to a more natural method of planting. And the way that I'm doing that, I still am using pots, I'll give you guys that. I'm not going straight into the soil yet because my soil here is too sandy. I have not repaired it enough yet to be able to pull that off. But soon, I will be able to. So, what I'm gonna do is use some pots and a little bit of mulch over the top. The mulch that I'm using right now is mulch that I used in one of my earlier episodes to inoculate with mushroom spores. And it's a little bit hard to see right now, but there's quite a bit of spores. A lot of it's probably, or not spores, mycelium. There's quite a bit of mycelium growing in this mulch. So that's one thing that I've done. Just like in nature, your mulch is gonna get a certain amount of mycelium in it. You guys are in the wheelbarrow right now. It's gonna get a certain amount of mycelium in it, and it's gonna start breaking down and feeding the plants and the soil. So that is taken care of. That's following nature's design. I've got that part done. The next thing I do is that I'm using compost, but it's kind of like nature's compost. I don't turn my compost. I don't water it. I throw everything on it and just let it sit. And it works. It takes a little bit longer, I'll give you that. It's not gonna compost real fast. But I'm pretty sure that's giving longevity of nutrients in my pots because I don't fertilize my pots. And it's working. So I'm on to something. So I take my compost and I throw it all in this pile and I just leave it. Whenever I start filling up pots and I have enough seeds to plant trees, I go ahead and dig down in here, and I'll dig all the way down past the compost. That way I get some soil in it. I like a little bit of sandy soil in with my compost to kind of mix it well. And then I'll put it in pots like this. From there, it's as simple as dropping seeds into your pots. Literally, drop it into the pot. And I don't even take care of my seeds all that well. My seeds have a little bit of mold on them. My mangoes do right now. They've been sitting for 2 days. But mold grows in nature. Mother Nature does not care if there's mold on some of the seeds. And I think sometimes this stuff helps. Ranger, get out of the seeds. He's getting ready to eat my mango seed. Here's the proof. I'll show you guys. Yes. That's an avocado. That's another avocado. Those are about 2 months old. I don't water them. I haven't had to weed them yet. Here's some more proof that this works. Oak trees. Now, some people would think, why in the heck are you growing oak trees in a permaculture? Well, oak trees make acorns, and I recently discovered acorns are edible, but you have to treat them with enough water first. It was an ancient thing that's been done by native peoples for a very, very long time where acorns grow. They collect the acorns, they put them in baskets, you dip that in a river, and you let the waters rinse the tannins out of it until the acorns are no longer bitter, and you make flour out of it. So I intend to incorporate that into my permaculture design, and that's why I have baby oak trees right here. They all come from that oak tree. And this is another thing I really think is key in this design and why this is working for me. I've planted seeds around this property before, all over this property, and for some reason they like this spot. Now they've got an oak tree over top of them, a very large oak tree. So like out in nature, in a forest, if these seeds were dropping to the ground, there would be a tree over them. That makes total sense. They're falling off a tree, or something's knocking them off the tree, eating part of them, and they're falling to the ground. So they're used to having a little bit of shade. It makes perfect sense. Start your tree seeds under other trees to simulate what would happen in nature. Don't go overboard with cleaning your seeds, just like nature would just kind of drop them on the ground and let them be. In a forest where these plants would grow very, very well, almost like the rainforest, there's going to be a lot of leaf material. There's going to be a lot of sticks that are starting to break down on the ground. So the way that I simulate that portion is I take that mulch that's already knocked up with a mycelium, much like you would find in a forest or in a rainforest, and I scatter that over the top. I don't dig these seeds down in the soil, and I cover them with plenty of mulch to hold moisture. So that's the next step. I'll go ahead and do that now. My straw is holding my phone. Good enough. That's it, guys. It's getting dark here. You can barely see it. It's really not even pretty. But you know what? Some of that extra mulch that's on top of here, in between the pots and stuff, guess what's gonna happen with that? Why I don't touch it up. It's gonna rain. The wind's gonna blow and knock that stuff off for me. I don't have to work on it. The last couple of things I'm gonna go over with this is pretty key. Every so often, whenever my plants start looking like this, I have a baby oak with a big old weed growing out of this thing, I will take these and just rip the weeds out of them. It's hard to do with one hand. Let's see that. I'll pull those weeds out, toss them on the ground. And then, you know, after I weed, I usually do a little bit of that. Throw a little bit more mulch in there after you weed them. And the very last thing, this is very, very important, I found too. Don't jump the gun. I've had seeds, like papaya, for instance, recently that came up. I just moved them out of the garden, or else I show them to you. But I planted probably, not that many actually, only like 8 to 10 papayas. And I let them sit out here for probably 2 or 3 months before anything came up. And I came out here one day and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I had papaya in that. And there's some papayas growing. And I actually had to like use a phone app to like scan it and make sure it was a baby papaya, but it was. So don't jump the gun, just let them sit. Set them, forget them. It's easy as that. Because you can definitely go wrong. I've done that before. You take pots and you plant stuff in it, and then like 3 weeks later you're like, nothing's growing, and you mix up the soil and you put it in pots again, you plant new stuff, and the stuff that you had planted the time before actually grows out of the pots. It's just let them sit. Sometimes you just gotta give them more time. Don't rush it. All right, remember to like and subscribe, you guys. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and cut.